Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. President of Arab Republic of Egypt, Excellency Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, and D-8 Secretary General. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm delighted to join the 11th summit of the D8 countries. Being in the fabled city of Cairo, at the confluence of history and heritage, is always a privilege and a delight. My warmest felicitations to His Excellency President al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt on your election. Excellencies, we meet at a time when the world is witnessing unprecedented challenges. Yet, so many opportunities beckon us well. The theme of the summit, focusing on youth and the SMEs, aptly resonate with our shared aspirations. Each of our countries has a sizable youth population. Median age in Bangladesh, for instance, is just 27 years. We have 170 million people. Half of them are under 27. Every year, around 2.5 million young people enter the labor market in Bangladesh. In a private sector-driven economy, as we endeavor to get them fit for the market or encourage them to emerge as agile entrepreneurs, we see how emergence of technology is posing challenges and opportunities like never before. Manufacturing landscape in our countries has millions of workers who generally have low skills. But the manufacturing and service economy of tomorrow is fast transforming, largely riding on artificial intelligence, machine learning, data-driven tools and applications. In Bangladesh, where agriculture is still the critical mainstay for the society and the economy, we see how children of the majority of small farmers are little interested to pursue back-breaking, risky, and often uncertain farming on field the ways their parents took upon as a matter of tradition. Traveling to rural Bangladesh, even across Asia, Africa, and Arab world, we see how millions of today's youth are fast embracing technology and innovation in everything around, either to run around long persistent challenges or eke out newer opportunities that many thought impossible even a few years before. Often the younger folks show uncanny imagination in tackling intractable climatic stress on the field. I particularly underline this as our agriculture and food are changing about securing our economies and creating wealth within our own societies with little outside inputs. This brings into our consideration the millions of small and medium enterprises. Most of them thrive within informal economy. They aspire to grow and connect to global supply chain. Most often, they lack formal structure, access to institutional finance, or support architecture that are unfamiliar with market norms, practices, and standards. Yet, I see how amazingly capable and competitive the SMEs are. In the D8 countries, collectively, we possess enough of wealth even in private philanthropy, to stand by these scores of SMEs. With our modest support, we can shape a virtuous circle of good and for our people to take advantage of it. We need to let money flow to them through de-risking finance, for instance. Beyond what we discuss, let we, the D-8 governments, convene candid, result-oriented conversation involving communities of youth, startups, business, finance, and see if we can carve out a new platform amongst them. Bangladesh should be ready to take such an initiative forward and convene a first multi-stakeholders meet in 2025. Excellencies, the ways the world of work is evolving fast, as is the world of youth entrepreneurship. The D8 countries have to reinvent learning to make rooms for our young boys and girls, not only to become entrepreneurs, but also to become leaders of the social businesses and to become leaders of the economy. In our countries, we have great heritage, wisdom, and accomplishments. We have to see how we can blend and build on those. We are yet to take fuller advantages of the digital revolution that has been with us for years. Now that using AI is here, let us think if we can leapfrog and catch up with the disruptions and to the advantage of our entrepreneurial boys and girls and take it to social direction. As we move forward, I would like to propose two specific actions for our consideration. One, to let us build and deepen functional, impact-driven connects between our universities and equivalent knowledge institutions, particularly focused on preparing boys and girls into entrepreneurs rather than job seekers, which we do now. We have to bring the entrepreneurship and higher learning much closer than what it is today. Our aim should be to generate knowledge that can produce global business and industry leaders from D8 countries, successfully navigating in the fiercely competitive global market. If this asks to relook at the D8 trade and investment framework afresh, we should do so, transforming the business to impact on people's lives, not just pursue it as an occupation to become wealthy. Young people will engage in social business to create a new civilization. Second, for years, we tried to impart basic education and skills to millions of young people in our countries through conventional in-person institutional architecture. In a 1.2 billion people, so often that is an increasingly daunting task. To reach scale, we tried through distance learning, for instance. We need to think deeper as to how to skill millions of young adults in workplace where right attitudes, values, and ethics matter as much as hard skills. And then we also confront the challenges to reskill many millions of different vocational streams on a continuous basis. Now that basic AI-based tools and applications are accessible, let's think of a cooperative learning agenda that can complement our national undertakings. Excellencies, as we adopt the Cairo Declaration and the summit outcome reflecting our collective aspirations and shared commitments to addressing pressing issues, I may call upon Excellencies to relook at our collective agenda fresh. Mr. Chairman, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Excellencies, Bangladesh would commend the government of Egypt for convening this special session on the humanitarian crisis and the reconstruction challenges in Gaza and Lebanon. In this gathering, I particularly recognize in our midst His Excellency President Mahmoud Abbas of Palestine and Prime Minister Naguib of Lebanon, and valued accounts they just provided us. Thank you for your presence. We gather at a time when Israeli aggression and the 14-month-long brutal genocide against the Palestinian people continued unabated in the occupied Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Words should suffice very little. To say the least, we are in utter dismay at Israel's blatant disregard to long-held international norms, laws, and conventions. The ways the hostilities in Lebanon is spreading, there are heightened fears of further escalation. This can lend to dire and long-term consequences for peace and stability across the region, impacting global society and polity, not just economy. From Cairo, we must voice our unity and unwavering commitment in solidarity with our Palestinian brothers and sisters at this existential time in their history. Excellencies, throughout our history, Bangladesh has stood firmly in support of the Palestinian cause. We consistently condemn the illegal occupation and the violent repression carried out by Israel. We remain steadfast in advocating a just and lasting solution through a two-state solution to the crisis, with Israel and Palestine living side by side in peace and harmony. Palestine has to emerge as a fully independent and viable state based on the pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. This is what we always articulated in detail before the International Court of Justice. And this February, as the court finally called Israel's occupation illegal in its advisory opinion. Both this year's advisory opinion as well as the one in 2004 on the wall provide important legal basis in our collective pronouncements. Bangladeshis are profoundly concerned over the current state of affairs. Palestinians are not expendable people that you cannot get rid of them. Every Palestinian life matters to the whole world. It is not an issue that merely concerns the Muslims, rather a universal cause where human dignity is tested. It is about universal pledge to protect the vulnerable. It is indeed our moral duty to stand by them resolutely. There are around 6 million Bangladeshi migrant workers and expatriate professionals across the region, including in Lebanon, who have been making significant contribution to the development of the countries across the Middle East. Their safety and security are also at risk. We call upon all actors and stakeholders, indeed beyond the region, to take decisive and collective actions to end the brutalities unleashed by the Israeli forces. The massacres in Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon are clear violations of international law and constitute war crimes. Those responsible must account. That's why last November, Bangladesh stood up at the International Criminal Court asking for expeditious investigations into the heinous crimes against humanity. Such actions on accountability can deter the perpetrators against further and future atrocities. Alongside, let us intensify our efforts on realization of a viable two-state solution. Excellencies, beyond humanitarian interventions, it is time to prioritize thinking of reconstruction of Gaza and the West Bank and Lebanon. United Nations has cautioned that removing the 40 million tons of rubble left in the wake of Israel's bombardment could take at least 15 years. We understand that this rubble may contain over 10,000 bodies of the deceased, and this is also contaminated with asbestos. Let D-8 therefore kickstart a process with an approximate estimation of the cost of reconstruction in Palestine and Lebanon. We can thereon press on formulation of international strategies for resource mobilization. To end, yet again, let me place on record my gratitude to President El-Sisi for this initiative. I thank you.